I remember my dad taught me two things when I was little. One is if you feel nervous in front of an audience, just imagine them all naked. To this day, I still have no idea why that was supposed to be an effective thing. I feel like if I were to do that now, I'd be scarred for life. The second thing is don't talk to strangers. Now, this is a bizarre one because when I became an adult, no one told me that I could stop listening to this rule. I started interviewing for jobs and dating. Not only did I have to talk to strangers, but I had to be good at it too. So why is it that we're so scared of public speaking? Well, we don't like the feeling of being judged or publicly humiliated. For me, a result of that is that I was too serious on stage. So I decided to take stand-up comedy classes to become funnier and more personable. 6 weeks later, I am not any funnier. But I did pick up some tools along the way that helped me to discover my sense of humor, to feel more confident, and to generally improve my public speaking and communication skills. One of the biggest things that I learned was to stop looking at mistakes when you're on stage as embarrassing moments and to start looking at them as opportunities for humor. Because you can't control what happens to you on the stage, but you can control your reaction to it. One way is to generate a list of scenarios you're scared might happen and come up with some witty remark in response to it. For example, if someone were to boo me on stage, I would just tell them to stop watching that game on their phone, and I know you're upset the Warriors are winning, but deal with it. Another thing that I learned is to be more conversational with the audience. It's very rare that you would watch a stand-up comedian and they're effective because they're reading off a script. So with stand-up comedy, you really learn how to talk to the audience, not at them. And of course, as many people say, laughter is the best medicine. And I totally agree with that. When you decide to inject more humor into your everyday life and your speeches, you have more fun, and thus your audience has more fun. What's not fun is when you're sitting in a meeting and someone is droning on and on and on, telling you all these details that they think are important. When you master the art of writing jokes, you become a more effective storyteller. Every joke has at least a setup and a punchline, and the goal of every comic is to shorten the amount of setup required to tell the joke and deliver that punchline. You get to the point, and the message that you get across is more clear and more memorable. So these are a few things that anyone can do to develop their sense of humor, even your boss and mother-in-law. And you don't have to think that you're funny at first. It's a discovery process. So you really just need the courage to start. You can start by archiving all the funny things. Keep track of everything that you find funny. Comic strips, YouTube videos, stand-up comedians, things that you and your friends say. This is the basis from which you can start writing actual comedy. And one of the biggest lessons that I learned when I was taking classes is to keep your humor clean. I know I fall into the trap of my dark and dirty humor sometimes. I know it's hard to believe. But when you have clean humor, you can use it anywhere, from an open mic to even work. So now comes to writing comedy. Take one of those things on your list and really think about what is it that you find funny. If it's a person, who does that person remind you of? Why is that person funny to you? If it's a situation, what's expected or unexpected? For example, I don't know why I find this so funny, but this is a great image. I start thinking about doing this the next time I am at McDonald's. Oh, this is not me, by the way. But I do think about how her parents would react if they saw that. Not everyone will take stand-up comedy classes, but I did do a 6-week course at the National Comedy Theater in San Diego. There's also the SF Comedy College here. They teach you the structure of jokes as well as go over some of the material that you've written yourself. But the biggest benefit to taking a class is to really be part of a community of comics, because it's just like having a group of friends. When you have a group of people who will support you, encourage you, and challenge you, you learn together, and that's really how you grow. A common misconception about humor and public speaking in general is that a lot of us think that it's a talent that we can only be born with, but that's not true. They're like muscles. Some people have an advantage, but everyone can work to develop them. And as someone who comes across as a little serious on stage, I think taking stand-up comedy classes was one of the best investments I've ever made, because even though I've been embarrassed and I've probably cried on stage before, I can take a lot of the tools that I've learned and apply it to other parts of my life. I think humor, or stand-up comedy and public speaking are areas where people have a lot of unlocked talent. So it just takes some courage and support to really take the first steps. And I hope this has inspired you to find the funny in your life, because all you need to do is is just try. Thank you.